Chapter 14. An hour later, Lillian managed to hunt down Kate. Her goal to somehow convince the warrior to train her. She found Kate and Jennifer playing with a tiny pup in front of Jennifer's house. The pup was Kate's, barely 2.5 years old. He was the most adorable bundle of brown fur with snow-white tipped ears. He crouched low when he saw her, flattening himself to the ground. Lillian pretended not to see him, and as soon as she passed by, he jumped on her with a high-pitched bark. Lillian pretended to be scared and played along, and she was rewarded by a furious tail wag and a lick before the pup hopped away. "It's adorable," Lillian said, leaning on the railing next to Kate on Jennifer's porch. Jennifer, who sat in a rocking chair nearby, grinned at Lillian. Lillian had been getting those sorts of smiles all morning, the kind that said they knew something she didn't, and they were enjoying it. "Of course he is," Jennifer said, taking a sip from a mug in her hand. "She's my grandson." Lillian ignored the wag. Kate leaned closer to her. She was trying not to sniff Lillian blatantly, but Lillian was used to it by now. She had been getting it whenever she passed by a pack mate, and they gave her a startled wide-eyed glance when they caught a flash of nose scent on her. Why would people be so surprised that Noah spent time with her? Maybe he really was that much of a loner. "So Kate," Lillian said, "I was wondering if you could help me start combat training." Kate froze. Her eyes flitted away. Kate's expression made Lillian suspicious. Jennifer chuckled. "What?" Lillian asked. "You see, while I'd be more than glad to train you, I can't disobey a direct order from my alpha." "Oh no." Lillian straightened, crossing her arms. "What does it have to do with Noah?" Kate looked back at her mother, who was clearly amused by the conversation. Kate's butt sneaked closer and nipped at Lillian's shin. Since she was wearing jeans, she didn't really feel his little teeth. Lillian crouched down, scratching the pup between his white ears. The pup settled down, his eyes half closed. "You see," Kate finally said, "he kind of gave the order to not allow you into the training ground." That sly, hard-headed ass Lillian flared, but she smiled sweetly while petting Kate's pup. "Did he?" Now Jennifer chuckled. When Lillian stood up with the pup in her arms and arched a brow in question, the older woman just shook her head. "Oh, don't mind me." Jennifer gestured with her hand. "Keep going." Lillian pinched her lips to the side. The pup shifted in her arms until he lay his head on her shoulder and closed his eyes. What were his exact orders? His exact words? Lillian asked Kate. Lines appeared in Kate's smooth forehead as she slowly said, "That you're not allowed to train in the training grounds. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Wide grin stretched Lillian's lips. Kate took a small step backward, an apprehensive look crossing her face. The backyard of the pack house, a large clearing with a scattering of wooden table benches, was buzzing with wolves. Noah walked through the crowd of excited pack members, stopping occasionally to someone's demand. Lillian and her pups were placed on a bench under an old fir, a throng of pack mates surrounding them. The sun was about to set, painting in orange and red everything it touched. Lights all around the clearing were being lit in preparation for nightfall. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm," he asked upon reaching Lillian. She took a deep breath and gave him a short nod. The twins next to her, impatient to get this over, was so they could get back to more important matters, like play. "It's to be fine," Jennifer said, standing up from where she had been sitting next to Lillian with Anna. Squeezing Lillian's shoulder, the older woman moved back with the teacher, joining the rest of the pack behind Noah. Lillian put her arms around Elijah and Desra. The twins stopped fidgeting and leaned into her, no doubt sensing their mother's anxiety. Noah turned around, taking in the half-circle that had formed around them. The faces he saw were open and welcoming. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The wary ones were rare, but no one knew for sure they were ones who hadn't had the chance to meet Lillian and spend time with her. Anyone who came in contact with her fire couldn't help but be enraptured. Her light was just so radiant, so appealing that people instinctively opened up to her. Tonight, we welcome new members into our pack. Noah began as voices died down. It has been more than 2 weeks since they joined us. In these 2 weeks, they have been introduced to our way of life, have been given a place in this pack, and have been forming bonds with you. More than one pair of eyes held a knowing glint. The news that his scent was all over Lillian had no doubt traveled all around the pack. Now there was no doubt that Noah was pursuing Lillian. Noah's wolf was smug. The night before, Edgy been surprised to find Lillian sitting on her porch where he was coming back from patrolling the border, blanketed by anguish and despair. The sight of her had pained him and his wolf. The man and the wolf in Noah both wanted to go to her, to ease the soul, deep hurt that robbed the light of her eyes. He couldn't help the compelling need, and when she welcomed him with open arms in her moment of weakness, when her insides were all but bare for him to see, it undid the last of Noah's restraints in seeing her as a mate. So he let the wolf mark her as his, and to be honest with himself, Noah admitted it was just the wolf's desire. It was also his. It had always been his. The wolf had only pushed the man to accept Lillian, because both sides of him had been attracted to her fire since the first time their eyes met. No more running from her or from himself. She was his. The twins will be joined by blood into the pack. Seeing as Lillian is human, she won't be making the blood vow, though Noah wouldn't be surprised if the blood vow actually held with her. But that doesn't make her any less of a member in this pack. She has the same rights and duties as any one of you. It will be treated as such. Noah let his wolf peek through his eyes, making it clear his words were orders. He wouldn't stand for his pack to be divided on any matter, especially this one. A chorus of yes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Echoed around the clearing. Noah nodded at Sean and Jake. The two came closer. He lowered himself in front of Lillian and the twins, putting his palms on top of the pups' heads. It will only hurt a little. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The twins nodded. They looked less nervous than Lillian. Sean whipped out his claws and slashed both of Noah's palms deep enough to have blood overflowing for a few seconds before the cuts closed. Then the twins. Each held out a palm. Jake's, Elijah's, Sean doing the same thing for Ezra. The twins winced, turning their heads into their mother. She squeezed their shoulders and murmured encouraging words. Noah clapped his palms on the twins and closed his eyes, calling to the pack's magic from the core of his wolf, channeling the energy through his palms. It flowed in his blood to mingle with Elijah's and Ezra's. He found their magic, to blazing stars full of life. Noah heard the twins gasp as the link snapped into place in his mind. Their energy was a buzzing, glowing firefly that joined the pack's magic, melting and mingling with pack mates. There was something about that energy, something that felt different than every wolf and witch within the pack. They were butterflies still inside their cocoons, just waiting to break out and stretch the full span of their wings. Noah opened his eyes. The twins were identical. Disoriented frowns, their eyes glowing amber. It would take them some time to get used to being part of a pack on a psychic level. What got Noah's attention was the little dazed frown on Lillian's face. She shook her head, blinked hard a couple of times before looking down at the twins. It is done. Noah moved aside. Young and old, wolves approached Lillian and the twins, surrounding them with pack warmth, welcoming them in. You know, Jake said, crossing his arms next to Noah and Sean. This is probably a historical moment. I don't think a human has ever been part of a wolf pack before. Noah nodded his agreement. Humans and immortals had always been separated. The rift between their worlds was too big to mend. Noah was watching Lily and getting swallowed in Johnson's bear hug with a warrior mind linked him. Does Benjamin know? Noah asked as he ran to his home office next to Jake and Sean. Harvey already called him with the news, Jake said, referring to the vampire Noah had come to consider an ally over the past decade. Harvey was one of the most powerful and influential vampires in the continent, perhaps the world. The fact that he was part of Lord Arthur's inner circle was part of the reason for it. Harvey had called him with an information that made Dreadnought lose guts. The night before, a couple of vampires in Anchorage had found a dead female, werewolf in an abandoned warehouse. None of the packs in Alaska identified the woman, so a picture was sent to all packs who had Wolf kidnapped. It was only a matter of time before she was recognized. Noah called Benjamin as soon as he reached his office. He hadn't wanted to use the office in the pack house because people would figure something was wrong, and he didn't want to ruin the night celebration. "Shit's not mine," Benjamin said as soon as he picked up, his voice echoing around the office through the speaker. "She's from a pack in California. I think she was among the first females who were kidnapped." "Does that mean the kidnapper is killing them?" Jake asked. "I don't know." Benjamin sighed, clearly agitated. "A forensic team is already on the scene. The vampire coven in that area has offered their assistance." "That's a new coven, right?" Sean asked. "Yeah," Benjamin replied, "which means they're still under the direct authority of Arthur. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nelban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience and enthusiasm." He was one of the five. The five were the oldest vampires in existence, and arguably the most powerful immortals in the world. They were siblings. Each one of them ruled over the vampire population in different parts of the world. Arthur held the mass of vampires in the Americas in his palm and ruled with an iron fist. "Good. That means more resources," Noah said. Johnson called for a meeting of all alphas involved, along with Harvey and a vampire representative in the area. Benjamin said, since it would be difficult to get everyone in the same place quickly, they agreed on a conference call that started a couple of hours after midnight. While the pack celebrated, Noah took the time until the call to go over all the patrolling schedules with Jake and Sean. They also went over their lists of provisions and needs. Until the situation blew over, Noah didn't want any of his wolf out of packlands. That meant ensuring they had everything they needed in order to avoid shopping trips to human settlements. The conference call started. Noah reclined in his office chair. The screen of his laptop separated into squares of different alphas and Harvey. The alpha whose wolf had been found dead was already in Anchorage, participating in investigation. There were no scents in the warehouse. No trails. The place was squeaky clean. The deceased female had bruises and syringe marks on her arms and neck. Silver was found in her bloodstream. Her body bore signs of sexual assault. Harvey revealed that the coven members in Anchorage had been hearing whispers and rumors in the city about an underground club with dubious entertainment services, wolf fighting debts, a prostitution ring, and more gossip that made the hairs on Noah's neck rise in rage. "How is it possible that there's no scent trail?" Benjamin asked. "Not even a hint. The place is too sterile for it to be anything natural. The only explanation I can come up with is blood magic," Harvey said, his black eyes pools of darkness. The faces of the alphas linked into the core all showed stark fury. "We managed to get a very faint hint of it outside the warehouse, and our witch confirmed it. Very strong blood magic." "Blood magic again. We have to talk to the witches," one of the alphas said. "There's no way such strong magic is being used so frequently without them being aware of it. There should at least be whispers of it in the witch community. You know how protective they are of their own," Benjamin said, his blue eyes flashing wolf for a second, to the point of being biased against other races. "So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come forth with the whole truth." Arthur said he would check the witches himself. Harvey said, "Achias also offering to provide any help you might need. We already have vampires all over the East Coast checking for similar rumors." The alphas all looked uneasy at the thought of involving Arthur. Noah, too, would have been wary of Arthur's motives for helping, except that Noah had met Elle, Arthur's mate. She was a good person who would help anyone in need simply because she could. Arthur worshipped the ground Elle walked on. He wouldn't do anything as cruel as take advantage of this situation to achieve an agenda. Elle would skewer him with her sword. With Arthur's help secured, no one knew it was only a matter of time before they came across a lead. The problem was that one female was already dead. Time was not their ally. Chapter 15. How long, gasp, will I have to gasp? Keep doing this. Lillian exhaled sharply, until it becomes as instinctive as breathing. Taking a sip of her coffee, the warrior lounged in a chair in the backyard of Lillian's cabin. Since it was situated on the very edge of the pack, they were out of sight of the village. Only trees surrounded them. Kate had agreed to train Lillian. Daily lessons every evening up back from her work in the pack house. Kate had shown Lillian a series of movements, jabs, punches. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Palm strikes, elbow strikes. It had taken Lillian almost 2 sessions to finally get the moves right. Now Kate insisted on having Lillian perform the same routine for what seemed like an eternity. Lillian's muscles turned chilly by the end of it, and every morning she felt as though she had been hit by a truck. But she kept coming back for more. She never wanted to feel helpless again. She wanted to have a chance of fighting. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. As Kate had pointed out, Lillian was no match for immortals in either strength or speed, which was why she needed to master a weapon. What that weapon was, they hadn't decided yet. Kate wanted Lillian to develop her physical strength and endurance first before moving to weapon training. Seeing as Kate was a warrior, Lillian trusted her judgment. Keep that leg straight, Kate said as Lillian's leg came down from a half, a roundhouse kick. Her muscles just weren't cooperating. Do it again. Straightened high. Lillian obeyed, gritting her teeth to keep her leg straight, then continued on with the routine at Kate's approving nod. Kate had been hesitant to train Lillian, but as Lillian had pointed out, Noah's order was clearly banning her from the training grounds. He hadn't said anything about training in her own backyard. It was only a matter of time before he realized she was training, but they did cross that bridge when they came to it. Any ideas about the weapon? Lillian asked through labored breathing. Kate wiggled her head from side to side. Too many options. I'm going to have to consult with someone else. But we'll figure it out. Kate stood up. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Enough for today. Stretch. Lillian leaned down, hands on knees as she took deep breaths. She sat on the ground, stretching her legs before her, groaning when Kate pushed her back down to get her chin to touch her quivering legs. But Lillian's belly was not a flat slab, so she only came halfway down. Lillian felt a buzz in the back of her mind. She glanced over her shoulder to find Kate's eyes glazed over, looking into nothing. She was mind-linking. Ever since the integration ceremony a few days ago, Lillian felt that buzz. It was a constant echo in the back of her mind, a background noise that hummed louder whenever she was next to someone mind-linking. Mom is bringing the twins over so you won't have to go kick them up. They already had dinner. Lillian sighed. Your mom is an angel. Kate snorted. So she keeps reminding us. Lillian chuckled. She and Kate left their kids with Jennifer. The older woman loved having them around, and the boys always returned bloated from the food and dead tired from playing around in Jennifer's backyard. They could barely keep their eyes open for the shower. I was thinking, Lillian said, splitting her legs. Kate increased pressure on Lillian's back, drawing a groan from her lips. We should have dinner someday. In my place. And you should bring Jasmine with you. Sure. I will also invite Robert. Lillian said with a devious grin as Kate stilled behind her. During dinner, you and I will suddenly have somewhere else we need to be. We will. Kate asked after a pause, a smile in her voice. Yep, which will leave us no choice but to leave the kids in Robert and Jasmine's care. They will have to watch over them together. Kate said, plopping down next to Lillian and giving her an appreciative look. I like how you think. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Lillian stuck her tongue out at Kate. Why, thank you. Jumbo. The sky was grey the next morning. Lillian had to put on a jacket over her sweatshirt because of the cold. She felt horribly overdressed with all the half-naked wolves running around. The pack was busy preparing for game day. The village already looked different with stalls and obstacle courses set everywhere. She couldn't wait for tomorrow. Lillian spotted Noah on her way to the garden. Her hands were mostly healed, so she returned to working with Robert in the mornings, and left the afternoons for her liaison work. Noah was with Jake, Kate and another female warrior. Lillian remembered her name was Phoebe. The tall brunette was in a sports bra and black running shorts that revealed legs miles long. She was standing close to Noah. Too close. Lillian shook her head. Why would she care if the woman was basically rubbing up against him? Still, as Lillian stood to the side waiting for him to finish, her eyes kept straying to the two of them side by side, a twisting in her gut. She crossed her arms and looked away. Kate caught her gaze and waved. Lillian waved back with a grin. A second later, Kate and Jake walked away. Phoebe lingered, exchanging a few words with Noah, who had his eyes on Lillian. Then the alpha shook his head and headed toward Lillian. I need to talk to you about something, Lillian said when he stopped in front of her. Noah jerked his head towards the heavy cover of trees. Only when they were deep enough in the woods that no one would hear did they stop. Noah crossed his arms, his chest bare as always, and leaned against a tree. Is something wrong? No, well, maybe. I don't know. She blew out a heavy breath, tightening her ponytail. Ever since the integration ceremony, there's this buzz, like noise in the back of my mind. I thought it would go away, but it's only getting stronger. Noah cocked his head in a very wolf-like manner. He closed his eyes, brows furrowed. Try and link one of the twins. Lillian did. She got a response from her boys that drew a smile on her lips. Nose frowned deepened, and Lillian felt a tug in her mind. It was the same feeling she got immediately before one of the twins' mind. It linked her. But this time, nothing followed. Weird. Noah mumbled, opening his eyes. I think I can feel your mind on the pack link. Lillian's brows shot up. I thought only the twins would be able to get on the pack link. Supposedly. He scratched his beard. I should have seen it coming. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Children and their parents share a mind. Link, a natural one that develops over time. It's the first link the child has with the outside world. That link acts as the medium between the child's mind and the others, which means you can't reach a child's mind unless you go through their parents first. It's nature's way to protect the children in their first few years of life, since their minds are still vulnerable, so it fades over time. Lillian asked, not wanting to lose the link she had with her kids. When the kid matures, the parents' link doesn't act like a line of defense anymore. It slowly becomes like any other link the child has with the rest of their pack. Lillian's entire being froze, her heart sputtering in alarm. When you say parents, does that include both parents now? Noel's eyes latched on hers for a long moment before he continued. Just because someone gave birth to a child doesn't make them a parent. The parent's link develops from the time the child is born, with the person the child recognizes as a parent, which meant if the parent worst in their child's life, they didn't form the link. Lillian breathed out, her shoulders stomping in relief. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Noel continued, when the twins got linked to the pack, you were automatically dragged with them. Since you're human, no one thought it would happen. You just aren't built to have access to mind linking. But I already do, Lillian said. You do, which is why I shouldn't be surprised you're in our link to the pack. Noah ran a hand through his hair, pushing the ebony strands back. his biceps bulging with the motion. The buzz in your mind is probably the pack link reaching out to your kids. Or your kids link someone else. In the first few days after someone joins a pack, other members will constantly reach out to them. It's a way of anchoring them to the pack link. Since you're either twins' mother, every time a mind touches the twins, you feel it. Wait, so everyone in the pack knows I can mind link? Lily-Ann asked cautiously, since HED told her to keep that fact a secret. No, Noah shook his head. As the alpha, I can feel every mind in my pack. I can feel the structure of all the links and bonds, which means I can feel your mind blanketing the twins. The reason why I didn't realize you were there in the first place was because I didn't look for it. The others can't do that. They only reach out to the twins' minds. They have no knowledge that yours exists. So they can mind link me. Lillian asked. Noah cocked his head. She felt another tug on her mind. No, I can't do it. I feel you there, but I can't touch your mind with mine. So to speak. Well, that background noise is giving me a headache. Lillian rubbed her forehead. The constant buzz was growing into an irritating throb. Noah walked closer, until he stood toe-to-toe with her. What? Lillian asked, bending his head down. He cupped her face before she could take a step back. Heart beating loud. Lillian went still as a statue when Noah touched his forehead to hers and closed his eyes. What? Hot breath fanning over her face. Be still. Lillian frowned, about to open her mouth and give him a piece of her mind when she felt her brain strain. The buzz turned impossibly loud, ringing in her ears for a single painful second before it went back to its usual volume. And from the concentrated frown in Noah's face, she guessed he was doing something that required he be close to her. So she stayed put. His palms were so big and warm where they framed the side of her head, covering her ears and cheeks. And his lashes were so long and thick, a rich black that made her jealous. Why couldn't she have such pretty lashes? Lillian was lost in her thoughts. Her heart and breathing slowed down into a mild rhythm, and her body relaxed. Noah's earthy scent infiltrated her lungs and settled itself in the deepest nooks of her soul. Billiarly and jumped with an embarrassing squeal at Noah's loud word. You idiot. She glared at him, her heart beating its way out of her chest. You scared me. She pushed his chest. She might as well try to push a mountain. Sorry, he mumbled. The crinkling amusement in his eyes made her breath hitch. Is it gone now? Lillian Neskler turned into a wide grin when realized the annoying buzz had disappeared. Beaming at Noah. After days of being cramped with background noise, her head felt so light. Good, Noah replied, his eyes darker than usual, feeling awkward all of a sudden at their proximity. Lillian took a step back. Noah dropped his hands. I blocked the noise for you. You can do that? Lillian asked yes. Alpha privilege over members of the pack. Lillian nodded, wondering what other privileges an alpha had, before she could ask him. You'll attend tomorrow. It took her a second to realize he was talking about game day. The twins had been buzzing with excitement over the past few days, and the atmosphere in the pack couldn't have been more pumped up. Everyone looked forward to the day. I wouldn't miss it. The next morning Cal didn't come soon enough for the twins. They woke her up at the crack of dawn, jumping up and down on her bed. After the training session Shed had with Kate the night before, her body felt like it weighed a ton. After tackling the twins, she smothered them with kisses until they couldn't breathe, the giggle filling the cabin and warming her heart. Then Lillian had to literally roll out of bed. Her bones groaned like an old, creaky machine. She helped the twins get dressed first. Kunwan, to my agent extraordinaire, Mylen Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Well be late, Ezra said, jumping on his feet as she helped Elijah find the armhole in his t-shirt. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylen Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Go wait outside, patting Elijah S. Bottom when he headed to the door with Ezra. Don't go anywhere until I come out. Lillian rushed to her room, called on a plain white-fitted long-sleeve shirt, black tapered sweatpants, and gathered her hair in a ponytail, balancing powdersy on one foot as she pulled on a tennis shoe on the other. She hopped to the door. The three of them walked to the pack house where they would be having breakfast. All meals of the day were to be had collectively in the pack house. Kate had told her it would be a feast. The twins soon abandoned her when they spotted one of their friends. Lillian joined the boys' parents on their way to the pack house. "How old is she?" Lillian asked Melinda, Elias' mother, who was cradling a little pink bundle in her arms. A flushed face peered at her through curious brown eyes. 3 months old, Melinda said, a glow in her face as she rubbed her finger over the baby's cheek. Is Elias jealous of her? Not at all. Melinda's mate, Daniel. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He threw his arm around Melinda's shoulders and kissed her head. Melinda was afraid of that. But Elias adores his sister. She is very protective of her. Lillian gushed as the adorable baby gurgled a sound, a smile stretching her tubby cheeks. Lillian remembered a time her sons were that age, so vulnerable and small. She had been constantly terrified of doing something wrong. Suddenly having to little less depend on her, and every breath they took was beyond fearsome. Fortunately, Lydia had been there every step of the way. Lydia owed the lost old lady everything. During breakfast, Lillian found herself on the same bench as Noah, the twins sandwiched between them. The backyard of the pack house was crowded with pack members. Almost all the tables were occupied. Across from her were Ava, Sean, and Jake. The food was delectable. Lillian ate her scrambled eggs and turkey bagel sandwich with relish. The twins wolfed down a stack of pancakes drenched in chocolate syrup, followed by bowls of oatmeal with fruits. Their appetite was getting noticeably bigger. It was normal for wolves if Noah's plate was anything to go by. Damn. But the man could eat. He wiped out 3 bagel sandwiches, a stack of pancakes, hash browns and sausages in the time it took her to finish her own bagel and cup of coffee. "Are you playing any games, Lillian?" They asked, the glorious red of her hair reflecting the morning sun. "Not many," Lillian said, crinkling her nose. "I wouldn't stand a chance at most physical games." Jake nodded. "There are a lot of those. Well, play in the obstacle course." "Obstacle," Ezra corrected his brother with a solemn tone. "Oh, tease, see Ellie," Elijah said with a tiny frown. "That's what I said." Lillian smiled as the twins bickered back and forth, sharing the amusement of the adults around the table. And an hour later, her throat was sore from cheering on her little boys as they struggled to climb up a slope along with a dozen other pups whose parents all flocked around the area, cheering just as enthusiastically. She loved seeing them play, loved seeing them grit their teeth, their eyes turning amber while they rose once and again after they'd defallen. She waited for them by the finish line, crouching, holding open her arms. They didn't win first place. A tiny girl with brown pigtails did. But they did good. When their little bodies collided with hers, the 3 of them tumbled to the ground, laughing. "You did great," she told them. "I'm so proud of you two. Mommy, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "Did you see when I jumped over those big stones?" Ezra asked. "I did," Lillian replied, standing up with the twins. "You jumped so high." "Me too," Elijah added, wide blue eyes eager and excited. Lillian led the boys through the throng of people to a stall of snacks. After gobbling a few banana bites, the 3 of them joined Anna and Kate. The 2 were cheering on Johnson, who was winning an eating competition. Of all things, one of the competitors next to him went green for a moment. His cheeks bloated like chipmunks before he jumped to his feet and pushed his way outside the circle of spectators around the table. "A cheer sandwich," Anna told Lillian, speaking loud over the noise around them. I don't know what he was thinking, competing against wolves in eating. Lillian laughed. Johnson won the competition. which was surprising at all considering the size of the man. He lifted Anna in his arms, whirling around. His mate wiped a spot on the corner of his mouth before she pressed her lips to his. Lillian's good mood evaporated some time later, when the twins stopped to watch a race. A father-son race. The fathers held their sons' ankles, while the boys had their palms on the ground, and raced through a long, winding path. Lillian felt the ache of guilt settle heavily on her chest. She did her best to give the twins everything they needed, to provide them with the best in life she could. But this one thing she couldn't give them. They would always miss that special bond a child had with their father. Lillian swallowed past the knot in her throat. She leaned down between the kids. Boys, I see a game I might be able to win. What to cheer on Mommy. Noah finished the obstacle course for the 5th time that day. He liked getting through it only once, but he kept getting challenges from other wolves who wanted to reach the finish line before he did. Since the course was renewed each year, Noah wasn't yet bored with it, but he wanted to hunt down a certain brunette. It proved difficult with so many scents around. Looking for someone. Eva's clear voice filled his head. He looked to the side, where she stood in the circle of Scene's arms, chatting with a female, which that had joined the pack a few years ago. He saw no reason to deny his intention, so he asked, "Have you seen her?" Following Eva's instructions, Noah found Lillian sitting cross-legged on the ground along with other competitors, each holding a length of rope tied into elaborate knots they had to unravel. The twins were among the cloud of spectators surrounding the players, though Noah made no movement to go through. The crowd slowly parted for him and nudged him forward, their smiles perceptive. He was soon behind the twins, both of whom looked up with identical blue eyes before focusing on their mother when the referee spoke. "Ready," the referee said. All competitors tensed. Eyes focused on the knotted rope. Go. Noah watched, impressed, as Lillian's slender fingers moved with lightning speed to untangle the rope, tiny lines forming between her eyebrows. Her movements were confident and graceful. Not even minutes later, while every other contestant was still struggling, Lillian held the smooth rope over her head with straight arms and infectious grin. Done. Applause followed. The twins cheered, jumping up and down. Lillian laughed at something one of her competitors said, throwing back her head. Elijah looked up at him with a wild grin. Mommy won. And Noah felt a part of him come alive at the sight, his heart squeezing in a pleasant way. He crouched down and picked up both Elijah and Ezra. Their warm weight in his arms grounded him. The urge to cover them up in his scent, to curl around them and keep them safe and happy was almost an aching need. She did good. Noah concurred. Lillian stood up and spotted them, a flicker of emotion shone in her eyes. She paused for a second before joining Noah and the twins. The 4 of them strolled around, watching games and cheering on friends, the twins participating in a few while Lillian and Noah cheered on the side. "In playing the water game this afternoon," Noah said when they were sitting under a tree shade, having lunch. The sun had cooperated with them, and it shone bright and strong from the early morning. "It's a 2-person game," Lillian said, swallowing a bite of her sandwich. "What is it?" Noah explained the game while she wiped sauce off Elijah's mouth with a napkin. When he finished, "Want to be my partner?" Lillian cocked her head, her eyes a blazing blue, then shrugged. "Sure." Tension Noah hadn't known was there left his body. He never knew what to expect with her. Her reactions almost managed to throw him off. She kept him on his toes, and Noah liked it. His wolf was smug, just like had been ever since Noah had finally admitted to himself that ignoring his attraction to Lillian wasn't an option. He liked everything about her, the fire and spring in her scent, her sunny smile, her giving heart and the strength that blanketed the darkness within her. Lillian gathered the sandwich wrappers and dirty napkins, and stood to throw it away when Noah put his hand on hers. "I got it," Noah said, taking the trash from her. After dropping everything in the garbage bin, Noah went back to find the twins arguing about which game to try next. Considering pack members around had mostly finished their lunch, the games would start again soon. Tug of war, Elijah said, all but jumping in his spot. He pointed a little finger at Noah. If we have him on our side, we'll win. Sweetheart, you can't have Noah on your team. Only pups are allowed. Lillian bit back a smile, blue eyes laughing. Elijah wrinkled his nose, clearly annoyed at that fact. Noah crouched down in front of the twins and pointed to the winding path where another father-son race was about to take place. How about we try this out? The twins' eyes twinkled in excitement. They nodded vigorously. You'll go first, Elijah said. No, I want to go first. Ezra scowled. Elijah opened his mouth with a moolish expression that matched his brother's. Lillian put her hands on their heads, clicking her tongue. No fighting. What are the rules? Elijah and Ezra faced each other. Rock, paper, scissors. Ezra pumped a fist in the air with a grin. Elijah kicked the ground with his toe, but kept quiet. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nogan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Go ahead, Noah said, nodding toward the race. The twins readily broke into a run. Lillian said, looking after the twins with a warm smile. The look in her eyes was one reserved for her boys alone. Lillian looked at him with that same smile, and his heart almost lurched out of his chest. She shrugged and walked after the twins, her ponytail swinging back and forth. His eyes followed the motion, trailing lower. Luckily, he had gotten his eyes up from the alluring sight when she looked over her shoulders and waved him over. He could only imagine her reaction if he got caught checking her out. Would her cheeks turn that by table shade of cherry? Or would she cheer him out? Maybe he'd do it on purpose to find out. Someday. He followed after her, his lips curving at the thought. Chapter 16. You didn't say anything about climbing over your shoulders. Lily Annette's voice was shrill, her wide eyes following the other couples participating in the game. They were currently on a wooden raft, floating on the lake, along with a dozen couples. The females were in the process of climbing over the male's shoulders. Noah suppressed his satisfial. He might have forgotten to tell Lillian this small detail earlier, afraid she wouldn't want to play because of it. Now it was too late. They were in the center of the lake, where they had swam to the raft. The rules of the game were simple: push other couples off the raft and into the water. The last couple standing is the winner. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nogan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The female had to be sitting on the male's shoulders, which made the game more interesting. Rules, Noah said, crouching in front of Lillian, his back to her. When she didn't make a move, he looked over his shoulders and raised a brow. Her eyes narrowed, mumbling something about sneaky wolves. She put her hands over his shoulders, pushing him down further. Sit down. You're too damn tall. He smothered a satisfied growl when her legs wrapped around his neck. Because they had to be in the water, she had changed into a tank top and running shorts. She was going to dump him in the water herself if she knew what he was thinking. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nogan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. His hands going to her knees, the skin soft and delicate, so vulnerable. He only had to squeeze a touch to harden her bones would break. Noah would never hurt her. H.E.D. cut his hands off before ever laying a hand on her in harm. But that didn't mean others would do the same. Wait, what should I hold on to? Wherever you want. Noah stood to his feet. Lillian made a strangled noise before putting her hands on his head. She didn't need to hold on to anything. Her weight was laughably light for his shapeshifter's strength. But he didn't tell her that. He wanted to feel her hands on him. I swear to God. Noah, if you drop me on purpose, I'll dump you in the water myself and save everyone the trouble, Lillian said, tugging at his hair. Noah's lips twitched. Her words echoed his earlier thoughts. The couples nearby watched them with barely concealed smiles. While Johnson and Kate are no joke, Lillian said. Noah agreed. The two sibling warriors were towering over everybody else. Each one of them was already taller than their peers. Put on top of each other, they were massive. Johnson usually participated in this game with Anna, but since she was pregnant, she didn't participate for the sake of Johnson's sanity. Male wolves were protective by nature. Male wolves with pregnant mates were maniacally overprotective. It makes them a target, Noah said, proving his words. Just when the referee, who was swimming by the raft, whistled the beginning of the game, two couples zeroed in on Johnson and Kate. "Hey, not fair," called Kate, tangling arms with another female who was on her mate's shoulders. Noah, taking advantage of every owner's attention being stolen by Kate and Johnson's struggle, moved swiftly to the couple nearby. Lillian, forgetting all about holding on to him, pushed the distracted woman just as he did the same to the man. Their victims were the first to hit the water. The loud splash caught every owner's attention. Johnson and Kate, taking advantage of the diversion, pushed another couple into the lake. The screams and sound of laughter mingled with the splashing of water as two more partners followed. Noah tried to keep his strength under control to keep the odds fair to everyone else. But when one of the other couples attacked him, the female pushing at Lillian until she almost tumbled off his shoulders, his control slipped and he sent them flying. "Wow, that was close," Lillian said, laughter in her voice. "Hey, you guys," Kate bellowed, pointing to Noah and Lillian. "Alpha will get us all into the water if we don't get rid of him first." Just like that, all eyes fixed on them. 2 minutes later, Noah and Lillian were swimming into the water. Noah lost Lillian somewhere along the way down. He emerged from the water, pushing back his hair. A second later, Lillian's head popped up. She coughed, laughed, then coughed again. She looked around. When she spotted him, she grinned and swam his way. That was fun. He nodded, feeling a sense of rightness. The other couples who had preceded them to the water were either playing around or cheering on the players still in the game. "Look," Noah nodded to the raft, where Kate and Johnson were being cornered at the edge by the rest of the couples. Kate's strategy fired back on them. Lillian laughed when the couple dropped to the water with a big splash. "Serves you right. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm," Lillian called when the blonde female came up for air. "Bite me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm," was Kate's reply. Lillian laughed. Noah saw the ball heading straight to the back of Lillian's head, his wolf's reflexes enabling him to catch it in his hand before it made contact. A strangled noise from where the ball had come from. Then, "Sorry. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Lillian looked over her shoulder, completely oblivious. Noah turned around, then threw the ball to the wolf swimming toward them. There was a game of water polo going on halfway across the shore. "Be careful," Noah linked the man, getting a nod in reply. Lillian stopped him before he turned around. "Hey, do you have a spare spot? The numbers are balanced. But if Alpha also joins, it'll be fine." Lillian looked at Noah, wide eager eyes blinking at him. "Will you?" Noah's eyes flickered away. Damn it. If she asked him to claw his eyes out with that look, he'd probably do it. "Sure," he mumbled, and was rewarded with a brilliant smile. They spent the rest of the afternoon in the water. Noah was surprised to discover she was fiercely competitive. Only when the sun was crawling down the horizon did Lillian and Noah swim to the shore. He could tell she was tired. Her muscles were almost quivering. "Sean, could you get me a towel, please?" he asked his brother, slowing his pace to match Lillian's. "I've already got it for you," Sean said, a flicker of amusement leaking through the link. When Sean had smelled no scent on Lillian, he was pissed that Noah hadn't told him about the mating game. Eva had kept it a secret. Surprisingly, Sean was against the idea. "If she makes you happy," Sean had only shrugged. "I don't mind her." Did she make him happy? Noah didn't know. but he definitely felt more alive with her around. You don't have to slow down for me, Lillian said now. I can get to the shore just fine on my own. I never said you couldn't, Noah replied. Lillian's lips thinned, and she increased her speed. It only lasted for a few seconds before she slowed down again. She was tired. By the time they reached the shore, he spotted Ava with a towel. She waved at him, then hung the towel on a low tree branch before disappearing in the crowd. Once their feet hit dry land, Noah retrieved the towel and went back to find Lillian leaning her hands on her knees, gasping for breath. Noah wrapped the towel around her shoulders. She stood up, and the towel slid down. Before it reached the ground, Noah caught it and wrapped it and tightly around her. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She clutched both ends of the towel to her chest, glancing up at him with an odd look. Thank you, she murmured, shivering. The evening air was too chilly for her. Come on, you'll catch a cold. Lillian nodded and walked with him. You're not cold. He gave her a look that made her roll her eyes. Of course not. Why am I even asking? Shapeshiters naturally ran on a higher temperature compared to other immortals. The crowd dispersed as the day waned on. Pack members responsible for the dinner feast rushed to the pack house. Lillian and Noah found the twins sleeping in a pile of pups near a food stall. Their clothes all but gone. Noah guessed they de-shifted at some point. Lillian grinned, shaking her head. She shared a sympathetic look with a woman who also picked up her sleeping child out of the sleeping heap. Noah picked up Elijah while Lillian carried Ezra. The pups stirred a little, then went motionless. They were completely spent. Lillian, both of them turned at Anna's voice. She was jogging their way. Hey, she said when she finally reached them. Kate and I will get ready at Jennifer's. She told us to bring you along though. Lillian looked at the twins. But the twins. I got them, Noah said, holding his free arm out for Ezra. I'll watch over them until you get ready. Are you sure? Lillian said, looking uncertain. Lillian hesitated, looking between her children and him. They'll be fine with Noah. And I told her. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Lillian sighed and gave him Ezra. Anna basically dragged her away. Noah went to Lillian's cabin, his shoulders pillowing the twins' sleeping heads. The cabin's door was unlocked, as was custom in all other houses in the Pack village. Since the village's outer perimeter was always patrolled, there was no need to lock doors. Pack mates trusted each other in a way that might be considered foolish for outsiders, but only those who belonged to a pack would understand the unconditional faith they shared. A pup, for example, was cared for by everyone, and not just the parents. Lilia's hesitation to trust him with the pups made sense. She was human, like most mothers. Leaving their child with a man, even if he was an acquaintance, was something inconceivable. Noah didn't take offense. She would get used to their way of life on her own time. Lillian's cabin smelled like home. Sugar cookies, coffee and laughter. The fire and spring of her scent cradled the twins, still growing smells of pine and rain. The cabin was small, the open kitchen already bearing marks of the little family of 3. A tablecloth stitched in bright colors, child drawings on the fridge, a colorful apron hung on the wall by the oven, an open book upside down on the coffee table. Everywhere he looked, Noah saw their imprint. The twins' room was easily recognized by the scent. Noah wanted to nuzzle the pups, to bathe them in his scent, though they might not be comfortable with him around. Not yet. When he went to put the pups on their beds, Elijah gave a sleepy growl and clung to him, his little claws digging in the back of Noah's shoulder. Noah gave a contented sigh and went back to the living room. Sitting on the couch with the twins still in his arms, he leaned back and settled them until they were lying comfortably on his chest, skin to skin. His wolf pushed forward, nuzzling at the hair, rubbing his cheeks against their heads. Noah smoothed his hands down their backs and dozed off. Isn't it a bit too much? Lillian asked when Kate whipped out a curling iron and stood behind her. Nope. Just leave it to me. I know how everyone usually dresses this night of the year. It's more of a party, really. Anna said from where she was doing Jasmine's makeup on the bed. It's probably the only event when we get to really dress up. They had raided one of Jennifer's guest bedrooms. A nondescript room with a bed, white linen, a vanity and bedside tables. Lillian had followed Anna to find Kate and Jasmine getting ready. Jasmine gave Lillian a small, but genuine smile when she greeted her, but otherwise kept quiet, sitting at the vanity with Kate doing her hair. Lillian looked at the mirror. Kate was still in her swimming clothes. Anna was all dressed up in a flowy, off-the-shoulder floral dress that touched her shins. Her hair was put up in a bun, and her face was still make-up free. Jasmine looked beautiful. Her soft brown skin glowing in a long, sleeve-fitted red dress. The material a soft velvet that highlighted her curves. Her short black hair was wavy, and her face already beautiful under the mercy of Anna's make-up skills. Lillian couldn't wait to see Robert's face. When Lillian had mentioned that there was no need for her to get all dolled up since she didn't exactly have a dress, Kate snorted and pushed her into the shower, telling her that her mother had it all under control. Apparently, nobody said no to Jennifer. Lillian had obeyed with a smile. To be honest with herself, she loved the mood in the room. She had never had a chance to live the experience of getting ready to a party with her girlfriends. She hadn't gone to college, and her high school experience was mediocre. At best, she had gone to an elite high school under a scholarship program. Nobody associated with her, and those who did had nefarious motivations. Lillian shook off memories of lonely lunch breaks and cruel pranks, and focused on the present. Dressed in a fluffy bathrobe with her hair already dry thanks to Kate, she let the blonde warrior do her hair. Lillian's brown locks already looked so different, wavy and with more volume Lillian could have ever hoped for. Anna did her makeup next. Nothing too heavy, she said, much to Lillian's relief. Just a bit of color. Lillian only had a hint of a blush. Mascara and soft pink lipstick on her face when Anna was done. You look beautiful. Lillian almost jumped at the soft voice. She met Jasmine's gaze in the mirror. It was the first time she heard the warrior speak. Lillian beamed at Jasmine. You too. You're glowing. Jasmine smiled and picked at the lap of her dress, just in time for Jennifer to knock on the door and usher Lillian outside with the crook of her finger. She led Lillian, still in her bathrobe, to the master bedroom. It was a large room with a double king-sized bed, a fluffy, blue blanket thrown on it, next to pillows in pastel colors. A dress was laid down on the bed. Lillian ran her hand over the material. A pastel blue silk. It was a wraparound dress with short sleeves and a long round skirt. It looked delicate and breezy. It was breathtaking. Wow, it's beautiful. You like it? Good, Jennifer said, walking out of her closet with a pair of white low-heeled sandals. Are you sure? I mean, it's gorgeous. What if I ruin it? The twins will be out of the way for the rest of the evening, Jennifer said, a hand on her hip. The elders of the pack volunteer to keep an eye on the pups during the party so the young can have their fun. So you don't have to worry about them. Now let's get you inside the dress. Hopefully. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Lillian ran her hand down her sides, her lips curving into a smile. Perfect. Lillian looked at Jennifer's reflection in the full-length mirror. Thank you. It's amazing. I'll try not to poke any holes in it. Don't worry about it. It served its time. Jennifer waved her off. Now go get the twins ready. Anna said they were napping. Yes, Noah is keeping an eye on them. Jennifer's wide grin stuck in Lillian's mind as she walked to her cabin. The night had fallen in the time they took to get ready, and lights flickered all around the pack village. Looking around, Lillian knew she was over, dressed. The girls and women she could see were all dolled up in fancy dresses, full-length gowns and short dresses, matte and glittering. It was an unfamiliar sight in the village. The lights were off in her cabin. She eased the door open and flicked on the light, thinking the boys were in their room. She was shocked into a standstill at the sight. Her heart ached. The twins was sprawled over Noah's massive chest. He was leaning back on the couch, his hands on either of the boys' backs, the three of them deep asleep. Gideon bit back a smile. The twins were still but naked, but considering the amount of heat that Noah's body usually emanated, they were probably warmer than she was. Noah's eyes flickered open when she tiptoed her way to them. He saw her, and gave a sleepy groan she'd never expected to hear from him. The twins stirred. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Elijah mumbled, looking at her through half-closed eyes. Yes, sweetie, Lillian said, sitting beside the trio. She brushed Elijah's hair back. You're pretty, Elijah said, leaning his head on Noah's shoulders if he'd done it 100 times before. Lillian chuckled. Why, thank you. An intense gaze caressed her face. Lillian looked up to find Noah's amber eyes on her, pinpricks of light igniting his gaze. Thanks for looking after them, she told him, his jaw clenched, eyes dipping to her lips for a long moment that made her shift in her seat. He looked away with a nod, Mom. Ezra mumbled, climbing over Elijah and crushing him in his attempt to get to her. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Boys, Lillian said, hugging Ezra to her chest. Let's get you dressed up. You're a mess. We're naked. Elijah giggled. You don't like when we're naked? Lillian's sigh was exaggerated. Well, today is a special occasion, so you're off the hook. Elijah sat up, his hands on Noah's chest. But Noah is always naked. Lillian choked, feeling her face warm up. He's always wearing shorts. That's not naked, so we don't have to wear shirts. Ezra perked up, his eyes wide awake at the mention of less clothing. Lillian didn't like them prancing around naked. She guessed it had to do with her human upbringing. She just couldn't stop worrying that they'd be cold, even though her brain knew their bodies ran on a higher temperature. We'll see about that. Narrowing her eyes at Noah, who was at the origin of the argument. His dark eyes crinkled suspiciously at the corners. Oh, now he had a sense of humor. Noah, you're the alpha, Elijah said, blinking those baby blues. Can't you tell her to let us be naked? Do what your mom says, Noah said, tapping Elijah's nose. Elijah's shoulders slumped, but he didn't look too disappointed, having no doubt sensed his mother's immovable stance on the subject. He wasn't really expecting Noah to make a difference. Good, Lillian thought, satisfied. If Noah had undermined her word in front of the kids, there would have been blood spilled. After getting the boys into sweaters, hats and shoes, Lillian took them out to wait for Noah, who had gone to change. Achidi told her to wait for me, please. Since he was so polite, she thought she'd wait for him. She had just closed the front door behind her when Noah walked up the front porch steps. Lillian somehow kept her jaw from falling. He was dressed. Granted, it wasn't anything close to a tuxedo, but a black t-shirt. Jeans and walking shoes were a big step up from his usual shorts, only wardrobe. She had been beginning to think the man in tone clothes. Not that Lillian often minded it. The way his muscles flexed and relaxed when he moved around was a mesmerizing sight, banishing all thoughts of bulging muscles and defined pectorals out of her mind. Lillian watched as he plucked the twins off the ground, putting each one of them over one boulder, like shoulder. For some reason, that was better than any half-naked image of him. He was good with them. He was good with all the pups. Noah was stern, aloof, even gruff at times, but he treated the pups with a gentleness he displayed nowhere else. Lillian had always worried about the boys growing up without a male figure in their life. Coming to the pack, that worry was snuffed out of existence. They were surrounded by other wolves, male and female, old and young. and having Noah being an even closer presence in their life further settled her heart. The pups all gathered in the pack house's dining hall. The tables were set with food, mostly the children's favorites. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Some of the pups were surrounding a couple, begging for a story. Noah put the twins on the ground. You be good. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Lillian said, crouching down to brush their hair back. She dropped a kiss on their cheeks before setting them free. When she stood up, Noah was speaking to a woman. With her pearly white hair and smooth black skin, the woman was striking. But one look in her black eyes and Lillian felt the heavy weight of centuries press on her bones. Lillian, this is Elder, Noah said. Eld's black eyes glimmered with an innate light. She smiled, and it lit up her whole face. Hello. Lillian's words died out when the woman stepped closer and cupped her face. Standing motionless, Lillian waited as the woman stared deep into her eyes. Her smile widened and she patted Lillian's cheeks. Oh, you will be good for us, Elder said with an accent Lillian held in place. She swung her gaze to Noah. You take care of her. Boy Noah nodded. I will. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Go on. Well, watch over the pups, Elder said, waving them away with a slender hand, when Lillian and Noah were heading to the party location. How old is Elder? Noah cut his head, thinking on his answer for a long minute. I think she's in her 8th century. Lillian's eyes widened. So much time lived. So much lost. She must have witnessed wars. Seen the features of the world slowly change. History being written. So much life. And so much death. Wow, Lillian breathed out. I can't even imagine. Then you'll be in for a surprise when you meet Arthur. Noah said. You mean Lord Arthur, the one from the 5? At Noah's nod, Lillian's brows shot up. The 5 were the closest thing to legends they had in their day and age. Is it true he is the oldest vampire? Noah frowned, his features sharper under the shadows of the night. You don't know the story of origins. What's that? Noah shook his head. And I will tell you. It's a story we grow up hearing, so it must have slipped her mind to share it with you. To answer your question, yes, Arthur and the rest of the 5 are the oldest vampires. Though vampires is not really an adept term to describe them. Lillian shuddered. She had never met a vampire up close before. The fact that they fed on blood made the creatures slightly revolting. But then again, she was thinking as a human. What are they like? Vampires? She nodded. Noah shrugged. Immortals. Like every other race. But their numbers are the biggest worldwide. So they're the strongest in a way. Lillian hummed. The more she knew about their world, the more she became aware of her ignorance. Now the years she spent living without that knowledge seemed like so colorless. Dull time. Have you ever thought of applying to be a vampire? Lillian cocked her head. I've never considered it. Thinking back, I never wanted to live forever. Sometimes, she had felt the need to end it even earlier. Lillian shook her head. The black hole of despair and depression was all too familiar. She had reasons to live now. She had a life, and people she could call friends. She had the closest thing to a family she had ever come to. And now? Noah asked. He stopped walking. Lillian faced him, the shadows on his face from the soft lantern lights putting his scar into sharp relief. Lillian could hear faint music playing. They were close to the party, but the path Noah led her through was empty. I don't know. The idea of drinking blood to live seems a little off-putting. Noah stepped closer until she could make out every feature of his. The twins will watch you die. Lillian smiled. In their mother. In supposed to go before them. Besides, they have each other, and they'll have people they love in their lives. It would make the loss less painful. The strands framing Lillian's face swayed in the gentle breeze. Noah's chest expanded with a deep breath, and beyond the brightness of his gaze, beyond the solid exterior, Lillian glimpsed shadows of pain at so deep it made her throat tighten. His lashes came down, breaking the spell, clearing her throat. Lily unsmiled in an attempt to lighten the sudden heavy mood. But I haven't decided anything yet. Is there a way to be a shapeshifter? Maybe I'll consider it. It's not done anymore, Noah said. Theoretically, the transformation into a shapeshifter should be possible if there's enough shifter DNA in the bloodstream. But a large percentage of humans die during the transformation. It's too violent for the human body. It has been attempted. Lillian asked. Yes, a long time ago it was as common as vampire transformations. But since the survival rate was too low, it's been forbidden. How much was the survival rate? Under 1 in 10,000. Probably less. Well, to my agent extraordinaire, Madame Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. That's a big no. What about witches and fae? Noah shook his head. Oh well. Lillian shrugged. There's always the option of just staying human. But no, you won't. Blinking, Lillian thought she had misheard. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You won't stay human. You can't die. Lillian snorted. Noah, you can't just order me into changing my race. A hard-set jaw, squinting eyes, a mulish expression on his face. You will not die. Rolling her eyes, Lillian did an elaborate curtsy. Yes, Your Highness. Noah's growl was low and deep. Lillian gave a gleeful chuckle. She liked trialing him up. Why do you care anyway? She asked flippantly. I do. Gentle fingers gingerly brushed a lock of hair away from her face, leaving a trail of heat behind. I care about you.